Luffy and Portgas D. Ace are first shown when they were younger, vowing to get stronger and go sail the seas. It then flashes forward to a recap of the Marineford arc. Luffy rushes in to save Ace, aided by Jinbei and Ivankov, as the Whitebeard pirates battle the Marines. He succeeds in reaching the gallows and freeing Ace. However, in the escape, Ace protected Luffy from a fatal attack by Sakazuki and died in Luffy's arms. Luffy then awakens from the memory, revealing he is currently on Rusukaina training after ordering his crew to get stronger within 2 years so they may take on the new world. Rayleigh is also there, coaching him on how to use haki by surviving the hostile environment of the island. Meanwhile, a pirate crew known as the World Pirates are attacking a World Noble transport ship. The captain, Byrnndi World, is not satisfied with the time his crew is taking in destroying the ship. He sends his 3 subordinates, Gyram, Knightin and Sebastian, to speed things up before personally jumping in to finish the job, despite the fact that his own crewmen were caught in the line of fire as well. This does not go unnoticed by his older brother and vice-captain Byojack, who tries to convince him that their crewmates were doing all they can, but World refuses to listen. On Amazon Lily, Boa Hancock, worried for Luffy, has her crew go deliver some food to Rusukaina, despite Nion's objections, and having promised Rayleigh not to interfere with Luffy's training. As this goes on, the World Pirates have finished making a cannon capable of wiping out an entire island, which World hopes to use in destroying the world government in conjunction with his Moa Moa no Mi powers. Byojack, however, mentions that because of his earlier attack, the Marines are now on the lookout for him and are gathering the 7 warlords to go after World. World, however, decides to strike first, and asks which of the warlords is closest to their location, which turns out to be Hancock on Amazon Lily. Luffy continues his training but follows a scent to a buffet laid out for him by the Kuja. They prepare to greet him, but run into World, who defeats Sandersonia easily. World at first shows no interest in them, but upon Marigold announcing that Sandersonia and she are sisters to Hancock, decides to kidnap them in order to lure Hancock to him. Luffy eventually notices the scuffle, and tries to attack World himself, but is easily beaten. Hancock hears all of this on a Den Mushi, with World challenging her to come after him for her sisters, leaving a Vive card for her to follow. Rayleigh, Hancock and Neon manage to find Luffy and revive him. Hancock naturally wants to go save her sisters, and Luffy decides to tag along despite objections from Rayleigh since he's still in the middle of training. He eventually agrees, though, only after Luffy promises not to make too much of a scene to keep himself hidden from the Marines. As they sail off, Neon reveals some backstory on World, while at the same time at the current Marineford, Suru is likewise telling this tale to Borsalino and Sakazuki. 30 years ago, the World Pirates were indeed one of the more feared crews around. However, the world government hatched a plot by gathering their enemies and slipping in spies within the World Pirates' crew. They eventually sprung their trap and managed to capture World. He was sent to level 6 of Impel Down and frozen, but during the breakout caused by Luffy, he managed to escape in the chaos. Upon hearing this, Sakazuki prepares to move out. On the World Pirates ship, Byojack tries once more to get World to reconsider his plan, stating that their true goal was just freedom on the seas. However, World is dead set on getting revenge on the world government in the hopes of capturing Hancock and using her as a hostage against them. The Kuja pirates eventually reach their ship, which is revealed to be a massive island-based submarine. Luffy and Hancock jump aboard to begin their rescue, with the 2 first fighting against Sebastian, a fishman and strongman of the World Pirates. Despite some difficulty, they manage to beat him. In the middle of the fight, Buggy the Clown arrives in the area by coincidence, and is informed about the World Pirates by Mr. 3. Prompted by his crew, Buggy decides to let Luffy beat World so he can take credit for it. Also on the island is Perona, who came along with Mihawk. Meanwhile, Luffy and Hancock fall into a trapdoor into the interior of the ship. After running for a bit, they wind up in an open area and are separated when they try to go down a hallway. World confronts Luffy once more, mocking him for his failure to save Ace. Luffy fights but finds he's no match for World, who knocks him around mercilessly, ending with him nailing Luffy to the floor and knocking him out with a haki punch. World heads off, remembering the day he was captured. When confronting some marine ships headed by Garp and Sengoku, Cypher Pole happened to be on board with them. They sprung their trap by convincing World's crew to turn against him. As World dealt with the traitors, the Marines launched an all-out attack on his ship. With World weakened, the Cypher Pole made their move and subdued him. Biojack, along with Sebastian, Knighton and Garam, were forced to abandon him to save themselves, though did plan on saving him later. However, World took it as another form of betrayal which in the present time, he now sees no use for friends anymore. Buggy and his crew, who were watching the fight from outside the room, try to help Luffy recover while Hancock continues on, confronting Knighton. The world pirate scientist proves to be pretty formidable, using her medicine to try and counteract Hancock's Mero Mero no Mai powers, and even regressing back into a younger state to combat her. Ultimately, however, Hancock's powers break through Knighton's defenses and Hancock manages to turn her to stone. Meanwhile, Luffy manages to revive himself after remembering the promise he made to his crew and Rayleigh and heads off to find World. However, he's hampered by Garam's Kubu Kubu no Mi powers, which allows him to shift the ship's hallways around to his whims. He eventually leads Luffy to him, and they battle with Luffy briefly incapacitated. Buggy's crew happen upon the area, and Buggy buys Luffy time for him to run ahead. Garam uses his powers on Buggy, with the Shichibukai forced to dodge his attacks. Eventually, Buggy uses a Muggy Ball to create a smokescreen with the intent to escape. Hancock arrives in the room during this and swiftly knocks out Garam before demanding Buggy point out where Luffy ran to. When the fog fades, Buggy's crew think he was the one who defeated Garam and cheer him on. World arrives in the control room, sees his subordinates defeated, and chastises Biojack for their failure. Biojack reminds him that they fought for him, and recounts their original dream together. When they were kids, Biojack always wanted to set out on their own, and World decided to accompany, since even then he was frail, sickly and weak, to make their dreams come true. They eventually did set sail once old enough. While World did take his combat a bit too far at times, they managed to form a crew and have many adventures. But as World's crew, so did his lust for power, and eventually, when it was discussed on making a submarine base, World was the one who suggested they put on a cannon, dismissing Biojack's objection that the ship was supposed to be a symbol of their freedom. In the present, World once more ignores Biojack's pleas and goes down to the room where Mari and Sonia are being held. Luffy arrives there and once more confronts World in battle. He manages to stay on even ground against him, but World's speed and experience in haki leave him at a disadvantage, leading once more to Luffy's defeat. Buggy and his crew make it outside just as the Marines arrive, led by Sakazuki, who opens fire on the base. Biojack reports this to World, who sees it as an opportunity to get his revenge on the Marines. When Biojack objects, World reveals he was just using him and the ship to carry out his objectives and sees no more use for him. Luffy, overhearing this, revives and saves Biojack, angered that World would treat his brother and friend so callously. Managing to form haki over both his arms, he knocks Byrnndi down. Hancock soon arrives in the room, to which Luffy orders her to get her sisters off the ship while he deals with World. She does so with an order of her own for Luffy to survive. Luffy and World engage in one final battle, with the latter once more mocking him for being unable to save Ace. Luffy acknowledges this, but counters he has friends waiting for him that he still can protect. After trading rapid-fire blows, many of which manage to break through World's defenses, World rushes Luffy, only for Luffy to stretch his arm and hits him with a Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk, which is finally able to beat World. With this, Luffy escapes the ship. Buggy's crew likewise jump ship and swim for safety as the Marines continue their bombardment. World recovers and decides to use the cannon, despite Biojack telling him he's too weakened from his fight with Luffy. World knows this, however, and apologizes for his treatment of his crew before heading off. Using his powers, he launches a gigantic cannon at the Marines. But just as it's about to hit, it's sliced in half by Mihawk. Having used the rest of his strength in that attack, World falls over, dead. Jack, still loyal to his brother after everything, stays by his side as the Marines inevitably blow up their ship. Hancock and the Kuja pirates wait anxiously for Luffy, thinking him lost in the explosion. But luckily, he managed to get out and jump to their ship in time to their joy and relief. In the aftermath, Luffy returns to Rusukaina to continue his training, and Buggy is given credit for World's defeat. Time passes and a year and a half has gone by since then. Rayleigh has taught Luffy all he can about Haki and plans to head back to Sabaody. When asked what Luffy plans to do with the 6 remaining months left, Luffy decides to continue training since that's what his crew are still doing as well. 6 months pass, and Luffy leaves Rusukaina and heads back to Sabaody Archipelago where he reunites with the rest of the Straw Hats. They soon head off for Fishman Island to continue their journey with their newfound skills and strength.